to go over, though, is a nice comic book overview. When Kingpin is the mayor of New York City and he wants to shut down all the superheroes, he's got a file on every single one of them, and he wants them gone out of these streets. And at the time, if I'm not mistaken, the Thunderbolts, which was the villain task force, hence to what I'm going to talk about next week, they're the ones that are going after the superheroes, trying to get them off the streets. But so, this comic is actually called Devil's Reign Winter Soldier. And it's just one issue. So it starts off, Kingpin, it shows that he has forgotten the identity of Daredevil. Everybody knows his arch nemesis is Daredevil. He can't remember who Daredevil is. Before, he had known he's Matt Murdock, but now he can't remember who he is. And turns out the Purple Man, he has kids that actually helped Matt Murdock. They casted a spell on Kingpin to where he wouldn't remember Daredevil's identity anymore. But Kingpin is aware. It's like he can't remember who Daredevil is, but he's aware that I used to know this guy, but now I can't know him. I don't know him. So it shows that he cannot get to sleep. He's trying to get ready for bed, and he says that he hasn't slept in days or weeks. And it shows him trying to sleep in a full suit, which is kind of funny. But then it pans to this. Bucky Barnes is outside of the Kingpin's house, and he's planning to try to sneak in there and get his file, because the thing is he was brainwashed when he was the Winter Soldier. He can't remember everything he did. It's kind of like the Weapon X program. Wolverine can't remember everything he's done. Same for Winter Soldier. He has this weight on his chest, and he assumes the worst about himself. And he's trying to get some relief. If I can get that file, I can figure out everybody I've took out. I can figure out every bad thing I've done. So that's what's motivating him to get in there, because Kingpin has his file. So it shows Winter Soldier sneaking in there. They didn't have any security inside except for these lasers, really. But it shows him he's fiddling with the files, and he ends up finding them. And one thing I will say, the reason I like this comic mostly is because of the art. I mean, the story is just, it's cool or whatever, but the art, I'm telling you, is crazy. So, Bucky, or we'll call him Winter Soldier, he finds the files and he's searching through them. Next thing you know, he hears something behind him. Holy crap. Look at how massive the Kingpin is. And Winter Soldier, Bucky is looking up at him, and he says Fisk, and he's just shocked, and he starts asking, why is his knuckles bloody? Like, what's going on with him? So, I mean, it turns out Fisk has just been in a rage, just punching stuff, I guess, because he's so upset that he can't remember who Matt Murdock is. It's crazy. So Bucky's looking at him, and then he starts asking, like, he says he's not responding. Why is he just standing there? Turns out the Kingpin is sleepwalking, having nightmares about not remembering who Daredevil is. Daredevil is living rent-free in this dude's head, and he's sleepwalking, having nightmares about it. So Kingpin, next thing you know, he starts getting agitated, and he starts fighting the Winter Soldier. And the Winter Soldier makes it a point to say that he's heard that Fisk was strong, but he never knew he was that strong. And it proceeds to talk about in the comic, Kingpin actually ends up breaking Winter Soldier's arm. And there was another image that showed Kingpin, like at the very beginning of the comic. He's looking in the mirror. He's got his shirt off. Dude is massive ripped. Like, you think he's got flubber under there, but it's pure muscle. The dude is a beast. He gets in a fight with Winter Soldier while he's sleepwalking and breaks Winter Soldier's arm. But somehow Winter Soldier is able to escape. and it shows him escaping with the file. And it turns out he wasn't looking for the Winter Soldier file. He was looking for the Bucky Barnes file. And when he's hoping to get relief by what he finds that even before he was brainwashed, he was still a killer. He was still doing a lot of really bad stuff. So apparently this ends up going into a Captain America comic book run. This is kind of leading up to that. It's a Captain America comic book run in 2022. And I'm assuming it kind of makes him feel a little better about himself and maybe not feel as much grief about his past. But I haven't read that. I've just read this. But the art in this was sick. I love this. That's what I remember the most. And I was at the antique store and I actually found this. I was like, dude, I gotta get it. But I love how massive it shows the Kingpin and just how it gives a good idea of like how much Matt Murdock weighs on the head of this dude. And I think we're going to get that dynamic even more so in a more complex way in Daredevil Born Again, which I'm excited about, and we're going to talk about more on here. But yeah, so that's my comic book recommendation is Devil's Reign, Winter Soldier.